Thanks everybody for coming. Let's get some pull up the agenda here, which I just mentioned with all this stuff.
Bless you.
There it is. Just for the record, Roberta, since we have some people on Zoom, let's go ahead and do a roll call. I know we don't normally do a roll call on the agenda, since we have to be sure exactly who's where.
Jerry Chevlet, here. Nancy Ellis here. Jerry Jericho.
Here.
Gigi Motiki here. Frank Patera. Paul Garnick.
Paul is here via Zoom. You can hear us, Paul, right?
Mark Ottery.
Here. And I'm going to admit someone else in, if there's someone, a resident waiting to admit.
Okay.
I'll go ahead and admit them. And once they come on, I just could ask them to mute themselves. Okay, there was a resident, if you can hear me, I just put on. If you could just please mute yourself while you're on to avoid any background noise, we appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, the other thing on the correspondence, the Tri-County meeting, the next one is February 18th. They are Zoom meetings. I have been attending those by Zoom. Anyone else is welcome to. They have not got a good response, but I tell you, it was nice last month because both Diana and Larry were on talking about a variety of things in the county, including the county's plan on the vaccine shots. I'm not sure what speaker they have planned for next month, but the Zoom is, like they joked, you know, they're not getting 8 people because there's no lunch, no dinner rather, but you don't have to leave your house. Jump on because they need more response. Yeah, I'm going to shut it. Whoever's still on, if you could please mute yourself, please, because we're getting feedback on this end from not being muted. Thank you. Okay, first thing, discussion items are street department applications. I do have the hard copies here. I know Roberta sent those out to everybody today. I think we need to, Steve, since that's, you know, voting, that's something we should probably talk more in executive session, I would think, as personnel.
Yes.
So, has everyone had a chance to look at them at all in the emails? I put honestly, I have not. I was working all day today and we came through. I didn't get a chance to. Jerry, did you get a chance to look at anything at all?
I did.
Okay. So let's kind of carry that towards the end. We kind of at least go over them a little bit together. Just kind of quick response on if that's okay. I'm going to skip here because there are a couple items we want to vote on tonight. So I'm going to skip. What's that, Paul? I think that's a good idea, yes. I was just thinking tonight we want to at least go over just to kind of inform the personnel committee if there's any names that may be a red flag that we know anything about the playoffs. I think it's just, I think everyone can know. But I think, yes, I think the initial interview, but we want to do this hiring within the next 30 days. Because, you know, at this point in time, TJ is still leaving in July. That's the plan right now. They're already short-handed right now. I think it's the best time to get this person in here to train them on everything. You know, now you have them here to train them on the plows while the snow's bad, and train them on everything. And I think it's a double help. It helps them through this down period and gives TJ more time to train the person.
And the last time we interviewed, TJ and Doris did sit in on the interviews. Am I correct?
Yes.
I think we should have them sit in on maybe phase 2 of the interview. I think
We need to narrow them down and date on them.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
yeah, I
Yeah, we
agree.
need to narrow them down, but I also, I think we all, if we could be there, I'd like to be there. I mean, this is for a full-time position,
Right.
not a part-time position. You know, I went through it. And you that.
Before I forget, socially, this is not from everybody. I can leave my mask off because I'm put it on. I'm far away from everybody.
You look better with it, but.
Well, absolutely. Just like you. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm staying far away, and I want everybody to understand me clearly. But if you need me to put it on, but I'm staying, just for the matter of record, I'm staying far from people. Okay, let's skip over the truck for one moment and the emergency demo, because those are two things I want to talk about that possibly vote on tonight.
I want to make a change for the emergency demo. I think that's the incorrect house number.
Okay.
No, that's it.
We have two. One's been approved, which was the Carroll one, which I don't think we ever awarded the contract for that one, correct?
Well, you're talking, this one is the one that, by the other house that the car ran
This is
into?
Shane Johnson's.
This is the one the car ran into.
Correct. I don't believe she's coming to sign her consent for that demo. The one that was court ordered, was the Carroll property,
Okay.
which is 512 Washington.
I thought we got the emergency demo on the
For
725.
512, I do not believe I have a copy of the order for 725.
Oh.
She was going to come in, Bobby had talked with her, she understood the property would be demo, I just wanted her to sign a waiver to
Okay.
do that, but I don't
Because
think,
when you called me, you said,
that was for the Carroll.
okay, I thought you meant,
Yeah, it's it. I gotta admit, I've got confused over the two properties, too, because they're similar addresses.
okay.
So I would just ask Mark if we could amend for 512 presently for the Carroll property,
Okay.
and then that'll give us a few days to work out the Johnson property. And then we can add it to next week's agenda.
Okay. So you're okay advertising for the emergency demo on 512 for now, is that correct?
Yes,
Okay.
we have authority to demo that one.
Okay.
And if council will remember, there was a question of ownership
Correct.
because there was no formal estate.
Right.
But that's why I put that one through the hearing process.
Well, I think we'll all be very happy because the sooner that one comes down, the better, the way that one's leaning. A lot of happy people, so that's good. Okay, so that's the one we'll change, and we'll go back and vote on that in a minute. So we'll actually have on the agenda for next week, as long as everything comes through and the paperwork signed, the 725 Washington. So it's actually two different ones, okay? Everyone clear there?
So you're just going to make that.
Okay, the grant writer for parks projects.
Because we're going to vote on 512 tonight.
So last week, Roberta and I met with Rich Cleveland, who used to work for the county. He actually has a consulting firm now that does grant writing. He will do a contract. He will give us an advance. Rich has a very, very good track record from writing grants. Nathan Wojtek actually brought him in and suggested him because he's done some very good things with the county. He's more than paid for himself with what he does. And the grant writing has become so specialized. I was just told recently, Steve, is it correct that the county even just hired a grant writer for $98,000 a year? I was told?
They hired a consulting firm to do all this grant application.
Yeah, Luke, so he will give us a proposal on anything. The thing that Roberta and I talked to him about, we already have some of the money set aside from CDBG for the Woodland playgrounds. We wanted to include the other playgrounds in it. There are some grants coming up in about 6 weeks. So I'd like to be able to, he will give us the price beforehand. We're looking at $50 an hour. He said traditionally, and he'll let us know before he does anything, but most times you're looking around $2,000. And I think, Roberta, did he say we can still, on the ones we use the redevelopment money, we can use, we can get reimbursed through that, correct? I can't remember, sure. There was one of the two we could get reimbursed.
Right,
Yeah.
it was,
We can't actually build it into the grant itself, but then we get reimbursed on some, at least some of it on the back end. So, does anybody have any questions on that at all? Or, like I said, I think Nathan bringing him in, because we're going to have to be working with redevelopment. They strongly recommend and think he'd be very, very good for us to use. Okay? We'll work on that next week. The next is the drainage issue on Railroad Way. I'm sure most of you are aware, we talked about this a while back. What was that?
Paul.
Oh, Paul, I'm sorry, Paul, what was that? I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time hearing you, Paul. Yeah, you're breaking up really bad, Paul.
His phone's breaking up.
Something about the consultant.
Yeah, that's all I heard.
Yeah, Paul, can you repeat that, because we're all having a hard time hearing you. Jerry's going to try and work with Mike.
He's breaking up.
You're breaking up really bad. Could you maybe call me directly with your phone, Paul? Maybe we'll get a better sound? Because we're having a really hard time. No one hears that. You're breaking up really bad. We're having a hard time hearing you.
Don't call me up on my phone.
Okay.
What number directly to the borough?
Call Jerry's phone. Jerry will put your phone on next to the microphone. Once he does that, we're going to pull you off Zoom so we're going to get feedback. Okay. We'll wait 1 minute to get caught up with this. So we don't want to leave you hanging there. I think garage door always sounds so loud, doesn't it?
All right, Paul? You there? You there?
Yeah, I'm here. Are you there?
Oh, I can hear you much better now. Okay, you're off of Zoom, right?
Yep.
Okay.
My only question was, did he give you a proposal on a rate for what he would charge for the grant writing?
Yes, what he said was, it's a $50 per hour, but for every grant we would ask him to do, he would give us a proposal before he does the grant. He gets a list of grants on a regular basis. I think he says he gets a list of like 70, 75 grants that are out there. Every month he's on a mailing list or an email blast, everything he gets. Some pertain to us, obviously most of them are not. So he will share that list with us when he gets information. We can look at it, tell him what we'd be interested in. He'll give us a proposal for how much he would feel it would cost to write that grant for each individual grant before we approve it.
Okay, so do we need to put him on a retainer fee though, or just to do it as need basis?
He'd like to do a 1-year contract that would give him the $50 per hour rate. That each time he bids, he would tell us, what it would be. But he would like a 1-year contract.
Okay, good. That sounds good.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. I can hear you so much better now. Okay. Back to the drainage issue. So, in the alley behind Davies Ford, as everyone's aware, there's the water lays there. There's not a good slope. It is actually damaging the base of this building a bit. And this is truly, it is our road. I was down there with Doug and Mackin. TJ was with me also. It was fortunate because when we were there, it was raining hard. So we could actually see the puddling water, the people that splashed us driving by that were not slowing up for us. We can see exactly what it was. We have a proposal in there. First thing before we do anything with it is they have to shoot the elevations. So Doug gave us a proposal to do all that. While we were talking, or I'm sorry, the next day, Doug had called me. At some point, somewhere along the line, because the closest catch basin he could find was about 2 blocks away. And that was going towards 10th Street. There's another one at 8th Street, but it might be a little tough to get for that one because of the slope also. But that being said, as they start going through some of the old paperwork, they found what looks like an old catch basin that years and years ago was covered over and may still be there. It's about a third shorter of a run. They're going to check that when they shoot the elevations. So the only thing we need to do, we'll vote on next week, is to approve Doug going in and shooting the elevations. I didn't want to spend that kind of money. We normally have the engineers do something, but this is a pretty decent sized job, and it's definitely a problem. We've been lucky at this point because in this really cold weather, I mean, that water down there sometimes gets 1 inch, 2 inches. So we get these really cold nights, that's solid ice down there. We don't want to deal with that. So that proposal from Doug is in there for everyone to take a look at. Before we get into a public discussion, we're going to talk about in a second. Does anyone have anything else? Yeah, Roberta, what did we want to? Oh, thank you. Almost forgot. It was brought up recently, our handicap stalls. It was raised 2 or 3 years ago. The price at that time, I think, was a good price. Since then, most communities have lowered this for a private stall. Now, if you remember, a public stall, handicap stall in a residential area is no charge, but anyone can park it. A Private stall at this point is $275. Janine, you called around and I think you said would probably be more in line with other communities, we should probably be in the 75 to 100 range?
No.
Okay, what would you suggest then?
I had suggested that we charge $100 initial and then charge either 25 or 50 a year. That just basically, like Manali Hall said, that paid their labor, that paid their sign, that paid the, concrete, whatever. But most places don't charge.
But like Denora, for example, they don't charge because they don't have private stalls. Those are all public stalls.
Well, Sonora's was a little different.
I mean, you can't.
I spoke to Terry and she said, was it 10th Street, Steve?
Yes.
It looks like Smurfland. It's all blue. 2 blocks and nothing but blue.
Yeah, you can't have that.
Nobody else can park there. Nongahela doesn't charge, but they allow 3 on each block. Regardless of if there's 12 handicapped people, it's 3 on each block. Canonsburg, the guy said it really don't charge much. The city of Pittsburgh only charges $20 a year. So, I mean, if we can come up with a feasible amount that our guys would go out there for an hour with the sign, put it in, and that would be it.
I mean, I think we have to have some paid stalls, to be fair, because some people, they need that paid stall to assure because they can't get around, so they have to be assured of it. Because unfortunately, there are some people that abuse it. Let's not kid ourselves here, okay? I mean, there's some
There's
people.
some people that need the
Correct.
A1 that just not afford it.
That's right. So if we can bring that down, I mean,
My motion would be to pay $100 initial and then $50 a year,
okay.
or 25. I don't think we'd keep going any higher, and I certainly don't want to go any lower than 25.
So I like that. I'd like to, if everyone's okay with that, we can put that on the agenda to vote on next week and give everyone time to think about it. Is that okay? The only other question is we have had a few that have paid already.
They need to refund it.
Yeah, I mean, I would suggest if we do lower that, we refund to those people. Does everyone agree to that?
To do it in 2 motions.
Yes. Okay. So Roberta, could you put that down as 2 different agenda items for next week, please?
What was the initial cost?
$100,
And then,
either 25 or 50.
what do you want it to be?
I think it should be 50.
50?
I mean, that's my opinion.
What is our fee structure now annually?
Too high.
275. About 3 years ago, it was raised to 275.
265.
260, I'm sorry. Yeah, about 3 years ago, it was raised to 265. I wasn't here for that, I missed all that.
Well, I mean, I don't understand what this problem, are the residents complaining it's too high?
They are, and quite honestly, Paul, they're correct. I don't know if you heard some of the numbers Janine said. We are too high. We realistically are. I mean, 100 would be put us at probably the high end. But that involves a situation. I mean, 50 to 100 is it. There's no one even close to what we're at. And Janine.
Yeah, but like it was said, there's no other municipality around here that is actually offering people a private parking stall.
Monongahela does.
What do they charge?
They don't charge anything for it. It's on their placard.
Sure, but it's privately only one person can know. I mean, you have to have your placard matched.
Yeah, you have your own private number.
I wouldn't want to go to free across the board because that's going to penalize the people that absolutely have to be as close to their house as possible. That's my concern, because you have anything there, you're going to have people that, we have one resident that called me and she's 100% correct. She lives near the Belgian Club. When the Belgian Club is busy, there'll be people who have placards who will park in front of her house. And she won't be able to walk and we'll have another issue. And I'm just using that one example, but there's other ones like that. And I think those people that really need it, and 100 is very reasonable. you're looking at, what is that, about quarter or 30 cents a day? Somewhere in that range, approximately?
It happens to my next door neighbor. She couldn't afford to pay one, so she went with the free one. And people going to church park there because they come late and that's what they call it.
We have, Janine, did you tell me we have 14 paid stalls right now, is that right?
Remember the ones that were around 14 people paid?
That have paid already?
Yeah,
Or
or we have 14 paid stalls.
we have a list, it's not just for.
Then I think there had to be 14.
14 already paid, okay. Okay, so,
Email.
yes. Is that what I heard?
What's that?
I thought you asked me a question, I'm sorry. Okay, so you have those two separate agenda items for next week. Okay, is there any other agenda items before we go into the public discussion?
Yeah.
Okay. Public discussion, and if everyone could take 1 minute. Bruce Roberts is here, as we're all aware. You know, we did talk to him last week, or I'm sorry, last month at the meeting. If you give us 1 quick minute to go over this letter, Bruce, since you just dropped it off. I think I dropped one because sitting to your right there, Janine. We ran out of copies. I think Jerry, you have one. Steve, you didn't get one. If you could share with Eddie, because I believe Ed, did I give you one, Ed?
Pass mine down here.
Okay. Jody, you and Nancy both have one? Okay, if you can take a quick gander at that before we move any farther real quickly, we just, so we know what we're all talking about here. Okay. I'm ready when you guys are. And just while we're waiting, thank you to the rest of the residents who joined. If you joined after, I believe they're all muted right now, so thank you for that. I appreciate it. There's a few residents on there. Great answer. Okay. Is everyone? Okay. 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 Bruce, I'll let you take the floor first. We read it and we'll go from there.
Yeah, if you read the letter, first of all, apologize for not getting back to you. As we discussed that in the last meeting. Just basically, you know, I think everyone knows we're still going through a rough time. I'm really having trouble with a lot of my tenants paying, so my cash flows are upside down. I waited to the end of January actually to kind of see what was coming in, and I did the math on it. And my revenues collections they're around 35%, just under, which is like ridiculous. So aside from what's going on here, I'm actually, I've looked into and tried to apply for PPP loans, and government assistance is going on. Unfortunately, PPP loans, that's the payment protection loans, the big stimulus with the government that's been put out. That doesn't help me because I don't have employees on a W-2 basis. There's a couple other options for me, which I'm working through with the SBA for disaster relief. And back to the PPP, you can do it off of a certain Schedule C, which I have taxes that I'm working on to kind of figure that out. So that's in process. I'm looking at every avenue I can to do this, and I'm going to start evicting people now for breach of contract because non-payment, I can get an eviction and they can owe, but I cannot have them removed until moratorium is lifted. So with that said, basically, like I said, I'm down. That doesn't include, I mean, I'm not even meeting my debt service. I've already, I think I told you last month, I've already gave several properties back to the prior owner in lieu of foreclosure. And I am lining up a couple of sales. One, and I can't base my payment plan or anything off of that because that's a future sale and anything could happen with that. So right now, you know, I'm offering you guys just a payment of about $400 a month, and I want to have it paid off within a year. I know that really doesn't do a dent in it, but $400 a month, if it was a year, would give you, you know, $4,800 for the year, and then I'd owe probably about $6,000 or $7,000 on that, $8,000. Which I'm confident by that time I should be somewhat in a better position. I expect to be in a better position within the next few months, and I do want to pay you guys off, you know, the garbage bills off as fast as possible, and then get into the next year as well. So again, I apologize, like, for not getting back to you guys like we stated. It's just it's rough for me right now, and I also have a manager that's supposed to be helping me, but she's been ill and kind of out of commission, so that's another issue. But
I appreciate it, Bruce. I appreciate you coming in because we're not trying to slam the hammer on anybody, as you and I have talked. We just needed something. The two questions I have, with that February 1st, 2021, because we have, will that take into account just the 2019 garbage or 2020 garbage also?
Well, this was just addressing what you sent to me, and I believe that was 2019, or no, I have to look at your, here.
2019.
Yes, and then the 2020, I believe it was due in April was the final month for that, for last year's payments. So I want to start paying on those too and get that taken care of. I did not include that in here because I was just addressing the issue on here.
Okay.
So,
And when, and I know you have the ending date, but when were you looking at to make the first payment?
well, I was going to start, I believe I put in here February 1st, which would have been, I was expecting to give this to you guys earlier.
Well, this is 2021. I can't get used to that, you guys.
Yeah, so, I'll bring it down tomorrow if we start with that. That will get us started off, right now. And then to do it at the first of the month, every month.
So I guess my next question would be, I don't know if we should really vote on this tonight to give everyone time, Steve, or should there?
Yeah, as I look at this, Mr. President, I think we have to do a couple of things. First, I appreciate Mr. Rogers showing up with a proposal. This gives us something to work with.
Right.
Obviously, we can negotiate from 400, we couldn't negotiate from 0. As I look at the 2019 obligations, it looks like $13,037. As far as the stormwater, 1685, municipal, 1314. So just as you look at 2019 alone, that's just about $16,000. So if we were to receive $400 per month beginning on February 1st, that would be $4,400 collected in the year 2021. What was it? Yeah, if that rate would take 4 years to pay off 2019.
Correct. So I guess what Steve's getting at, he'd want us to get some type of end date.
I think we'd have to do something.
Almost like a balloon payments,
Well, that's what I put in there to have, if you read the letter, it says it would be paid off in full within a year.
But that number could be $20-some thousand by that point.
No, just for this year, I'm talking only.
So that's my point, that if you're making payments on delinquencies, my expectation is you're not going to be current on bill this year. And that's going to compound.
Yeah, I understand that.
And that's not including interest or anything. That would take 5 years to pay off 2019's numbers as well.
I think for us to consider this, we actually have to make it very clear in our motion that this only pertains to the 2019, and it's a separate motion, expectations to make at least some payment on 2020. Is that what you're saying?
My concern is that if there was a breach that, first I would want to sign an agreement.
I agree.
If there was a breach of that, we're back in the same position. We can work through that, but I would almost like to see some type of security for this, where, we're protected come next year if he's unable to make that substantial balloon payment.
Would you be willing to draw something up, Steve, to send to Bruce for him to review and decide before we do this? You okay with that, Bruce? Because we can't vote on it tonight anyway, so that way,
no, I understand that.
so that way he can, and I'm sure we can come up with something, but I think he wants something to kind of protect, quite honestly, not just this borough, but this is an election year, so we have to protect whatever incoming council are coming in next year.
Understand.
So we can't bind next year's council to something without having something black and white for it. We literally not permitted to do that legally. So,
Yeah, I didn't even consider 2020 just because, that wasn't pertaining to the letter in there.
yeah, I just, because we have to have that because of, like I
I
said,
think it'd be reasonable to anticipate delinquencies. We're still catching up.
hopefully some of your people finally start paying you, or you're get lucky enough to sell a few, as you mentioned, hopefully. Yeah, because I know it's frustrating. I thought the no eviction thing ended December 31st.
That was extended to March 31st.
March 31st?
It was extended to January 31st, and I believe it was extended to March 31st, and their current stimulus actually has it in there until September 30th. Right now, and that was a proposal at Congress that was in Biden's stimulus, but that is not in solid. But the last date I checked was March 31st of this year. In the meantime, though, I'm not going to go by that because I can't go any further with that and holding for people. So I am going to evict for, like I said, a lease that will allow me to do so. And that's going to start this week. We're going to start filing.
Okay. Good luck with that. I know that's not a quick process.
Well, I don't have a choice. I mean, it's
No,
either
I
do that
agree.
or, you
I
know,
agree with you. I've been,
sell everything.
yeah,
I'm considering that option as well, but, you know, I've had it with everything, and it's unfortunate. I want to stay and keep this as long as I can. This is a family plan for down the road, but like I said, you know, this is unheard of times right now where people are basically just feel that they don't need to pay it, you know, it's unfortunate.
I think
Like I said, I'm not even meeting debt service, and I haven't done that in the past. I had to turn over properties in lieu of foreclosure, which is, you know, an unfortunate situation, but, you know, I've already went that route on a few, and I don't know how much more I can do. I'm sorry, go ahead, ma'am.
No, that's okay. I think the biggest issue that we have as a council is your lack of communication.
I understand that.
You know what I mean? If, you know, whatever we decide that we're gonna do, if you can't make that obligation, you need to contact us. You need to keep us in the loop, because then we just feel like you're just blowing us off.
Yeah, well, I'm not really blowing you guys off. This is probably off record, and I'm not recording everything,
Well, you're here, so, I mean, that shows the evidence, but,
but,
you know, we've been doing this since October. So, just communicate.
so if everyone's okay with that, let Steve get something over to him. If you can make sure you give Steve your email address.
Yeah, the gentleman is not.
yeah, I really don't know how to attempt this now that you're considering the 2020 also.
Well, I'm not sure if he's considering a payment. I think he wants to show some type of commitment to the payments.
Yeah.
Am I right, Steve?
Well, that's the issue. I mean, it's without some type of,
Not an actual payment at this point, but a commitment to it, so that we don't have to come back here and say, okay, what kind of payment plan we're gonna get into.
it's obvious it's gonna take beyond 2020
Right.
to repay 2019.
Right, and we can work with you on that, but he wants that part of it.
2021's garbage assessment at around the time 2019's paid.
So do you see why this was hard for me to kind of figure out? Because I'm working with so many unknowns right now that I don't have anything to base off of. I can't go off of my current history prior to that, you know. And it's hard. It was hard for me to kind of just pick a number and go with it. I mean,
So Steve,
I know it didn't make sense. Honestly, what I would rather do is take that number divided by 12 and go with that amount. But then, you know, I didn't want to give you an amount that I don't know if I can afford at the moment.
no,
And, you know, I wouldn't want to do that. So, I mean, I honest to God just said, let's just pick a number and go with it and put it in there that I would like to have the 19s paid off within the 12-month period, you know, preferably before the end of this year.
The issue is if we were just gonna take 1 year with basic interest, we're looking at $17,000 in deficiency. If we were to take that over 18 months, that's $945 a month. That's more than double. And that's what I'm saying, if this pace would take 40 months, absent some type of secured balloon payment, it's all 2019 alone.
let me ask you, this is a proposal, because obviously, as he said, and I appreciate you coming and actually, you know, giving us some type of proposal. What about, Steve, if we go with this, but we come back to him, you know, because he says he's looking at potentially selling properties or get things, we come back to him in 3 or 4 months, so we can pick a date, and that way he may be running 2 separate payment plans for us at the same time possibly. That gives him time to sell some properties if that's what he has to do, and he can still stay within his budget. I mean, I'm trying to find a way to work with him, but still protect us at the same time.
Again, just giving advice, not trying to say this in any way about Mr. Rogers, but in Councilwoman Dickey's way, if you don't have communication.
Wait, excuse me one second. You guys keep talking about communication, but not one person has called me. I know it's not your responsibility to call me. But if you're worried about communication, I'm a phone call away all the time. If I have to come to every council meeting and every agenda meeting, I will every month.
Mr. Rogers, with all respect, I mean, I appreciate you say that we gave you a deadline for our last meeting, you missed that, you didn't notify us, so, you know, we're not gonna contact you to say, oh, well, are you still gonna meet your obligations, or you're gonna come to a council meeting?
Let me jump in here, Steve, okay, because I'm trying to really work. But I'm going to disagree with you on that, because I wholeheartedly believe you're here because of the certified letter we sent you this week.
No, what certified letter this week?
We sent a certified letter off to you last Friday.
Did not get it. Where did you mail it to?
Whichever address you gave the borough secretary.
Was it signed?
I haven't received.
Okay, but yeah, there was a letter sent to you with today as the deadline.
Did not see
Okay.
that.
I apologize, and I assumed you were here because of that, because
No.
that was said Friday, so you should have received it by now, so you may want to check with your post office.
We also discussed that thing,
Right.
It should, well, if you monitor the letter, the address I have on file is a PO box, and I don't go there every day. My property manager is supposed to go there and get them. I'll follow up with her today, because I haven't spoken with her to see, if she received anything.
So if that's the case, then we need a better address for you then.
No, that is the address to do it, but,
You're not going to be able to accept certified.
Right, so we need to
Unless
get,
somebody's physically going to
Right.
get signed.
so we need to have, was it a PO you sent to her, do you remember?
it should be, that's what's on file. And
I have 1364 Ross Street in Grove. I have another address.
yeah, that's my home address, and I switched address there, because I wanted to go to someone that could pick it up, and then,
Well, obviously the person's not picking it up though.
yeah, if you send it there, then I have not received it.
So this gets back to Janine's communication issue, because we made an attempt to communicate to you, and your person is not doing what you're
Fair enough.
expecting to do,
That's
so.
fair enough. Sure.
So-
I actually sent it both just regular mail and certified, so.
Okay, so.
Okay, I'll find out, later.
Find out, but we need an actual physical address for any future communications. We need to send two, but we need an actual physical address also. which
Yeah,
are
it's
really-
on the letter right there, use that address. You can, for you guys on this, everything else. The problem is, stacks of mail come to my house every day. I was not able to go through it, and then I was having like hearings on things, like stuff Bob would send out for violation notice and everything, so I put it all to a PO box. She was checking that periodically, the problem is she got ill, and that was the issue there, so. On that end, I can see the lack of communication on there as well, but,
We go to executive session.
Sure. Okay. Can I ask you to turn off when we're gonna have to get everyone's on Zoom off there?
Why don't we just go across?
Okay, we'll go to the other side. Okay, for any residents on, we're going to a quick executive session, and we'll be right back. We'll leave you guys on there. When is the solicitor comes back in, so we're going to start back on the
If you need to talk, you can.
For the record, Paul, it was Jerry that left you here.
Yeah, Terry left you here.
You know, guy, I told him that. Don't squill on me. I told him I left him behind.
Okay.
You and I can see executive session.
Yeah, so we did go, just for making it official, and I should have said this before, but I want to make sure exactly how Steve wanted to word this. It was just put in for something that could fall under potential litigation, so just for the record, I want to make sure that's out there. Steve, I think it's safe to say that I think we want to have you talk with Bruce offline. And
What's your email address?
B-A-R,
E-A-R?
B is a boy, A-R, 449,
we see him before we appreciate it, but we need something to cover us also for legalities. He does have some concerns. He's going to go over those with you offline, and you guys can talk and work out. He's going to work on an agreement. We've directed him to work on an agreement with you, both on the same page, so he'll be contacting you.
Yeah, while you guys are doing that, I text my person that helps me out, she goes and gets mail. She did go and sign for a certified letter today, but I was not told of that until just now, because I said, have you gotten mail lately? Because I don't have anything. Okay, so she does have a letter, I don't have it.
Okay. Well, but
That was not in the works. My letter is dated from January 31st, that's this weekend. And again, I had to go through and see what was going on here with rents, because I haven't,
No, and we fully appreciate that. We just have to, we understand your position, and we fully appreciate it totally. But we also have to protect, like I said, not just this council, but no matter whoever's going to be sitting at this table next year. So we have to have something. This is something that we can't just do haphazardly.
I didn't expect an answer today.
Yeah, so I think that's why I want to have the solicitor sit down with you and make something that you're comfortable with, that he is comfortable with representing the borough. We can all be on the same page.
That's fine.
Okay? Okay, thank you, Bruce.
Are we doing that now?
No, we're not going to do that now. He's going to reach out to you and get hold of you on that separately. When you have any idea when you'll be a chance to talk to him, Steve? Do you have any idea when you'll be talking to him?
I want to go back through, confirm the numbers with Roberta,
Okay.
do a couple little more review things on some of the
So,
property lists. So probably by Monday, I'd say Monday, Tuesday. Tomorrow's Thursday, right?
yeah.
Where this week's go? Probably Monday, I would hope.
Can you write my number down too and call me, instead of just, I don't want an email sent and then me not see it.
Is it this 263 number?
Mhm.
Yeah, that I have.
What's that? Yeah.
I have.
All right, thank you for
I'll
your
send
time,
my
guys.
Okay, thank you, Bruce.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go now to the two items we want to vote on, and then after we're done, we're going to go to another executive session to talk personnel concerning the street department applications we received. Is everyone okay with that? Okay, the first would be the street department truck. I'm going to thank Jerry for taking the lead on this. He's been crunching numbers and they're really working as hard. Jerry, I'm going to let you read what you have there and you fill us in on exactly what's happening.
We got one bid at 41,271.
And who's that one from?
That was from C. Harper.
Okay. Now this would just be for the truck. This does not include the hydraulic system. Is that correct?
No, it does have the hydraulic and the bed spray in it. It has the, what's it called, the custom central hydraulic clutch pump system for $7,800. It's on both bids.
So that's included in that 41,271 from TC Harper?
Yes.
So that would be their total price, okay?
Right. I got one from Davies, he walked in before the meeting.
Mhm.
It's 40,550.
Okay. And are we talking apples to apples here, or this?
That's why I haven't been paying on what's going on here.
Yeah.
I do believe, I only see one thing different, it's an $85 difference. But, yeah, Davies got $721 cheaper. But I did get a last minute quote, which was probably, I think, after the meeting started. So, C. Harper underbid Davies by $11.71. That's when I spoke to Steve over there about, he said, I mean, that's our call, it came in after the meeting, but, I don't know if everybody was.
You may have.
Steve Harper just revised their original bid lower.
They did. They,
Okay.
yeah, they revised it lower.
So it really doesn't affect the original bid because it was in before.
Well, it's $1,171 cheaper than their original bid.
But they did submit an original bid.
They did.
Okay.
So that would put C. Harper about roughly $450 lower than Davies, $450?
No, $1,171.
700, right?
Oh, but Davies was already $721 lower before. So they came in with
Oh, yeah, I didn't add, okay, yeah, you're right.
So it's about $400 difference.
Yes, I did not, yeah, I didn't do that.
$450 in that range.
Right. For that amount of difference, I don't think it's fair because the bid came in while we're sitting here. I guess that's why we have closed bids on certain things, but this is CoStar's. And it's my understanding we don't have to do bids for CoStar items. Is that correct, Steve?
As long as they have the state approval, which I certainly don't do. Okay. But Davies is not, he's not.
Yes, Davies just
See,
did.
Harper,
They just did then this last week.
Because-
That's correct.
Well, yeah, because if not,
C. Harper gave us their.
if not, that would be the question, that would only be the only question I would have to them was, they only have Davies discount is 10,520. It doesn't say CoStar's like C. Harper's has CoStar's discount and C. Harper discount.
Right.
I think
It's
he
very
actually,
possible that Davies would give us a $10,500 discount without CoStar.
I think I could probably answer that question. He put that in, and so we got the official notification from CoStars, I believe, because he had talked to me about a week ago and said he was applying for CoStars. And I said, that's
But
fine.
we don't know if we actually got it.
But whether he gets CoStars or not, doesn't
Well,
that
He
doesn't
gave us
matter.
the bid,
That's
showing
the
that he
price.
got it. He gave us the bid, he told me today, because he did not also give us a payment plan like C.
Right,
Harper.
I was gonna ask you that.
And he's telling me that's a forward payment plan, that he can do it also.
And he told me the same thing. He called me today, He said he was having trouble getting hold of you. I'm sure you're working. with him.
Well, I told him, I was in bed, or I was in the office down there, and I was having a problem.
I think it's these tables until we get the same thing. from-
Well, yeah, we're in no hurry. I'd like to, if we're gonna vote on it next week, because there's no hurry for it. Because like I said, I did go over and it looks like the same truck.
The only thing I would say if we're going to table it is, we have to decide if the bids are closed, first of all, and if we're going to accept that addendum that C. Harper made. I think that decision needs to be made right now. Because we don't want to be, going back and forth, and then that's not fair to us, them, or anybody. I think we need to know, I don't want to walk in.
I mean, that's how I buy a car normally. I know the borough can't do it that way, but
Right.
that's how I will deal with cars.
I don't think we can walk into a meeting next Wednesday, and you walk in and say, hey, they just gave me another bid. Because
Right.
that's not fair to anybody to review anything.
Right.
It's
So-
$400.
Do you agree with that, Steve, or not?
Well, I mean, I do, you have another option, I suppose, which would be permit them to both rebid prior to the meeting. And I don't,
With all the information from Davies.
Well, the only problem I had was C. Harper gave us a blind bid. Davies gave us a bid saying C. Harper's bid.
Right.
I don't like that.
look to see Harper amended their bid.
So they,
Yes,
so they had, so they must have, did they know Davies bid? Is that why they amended it?
I guess.
So they both used the other one's bid, so that's equal there. That's an apples to apples situation. I mean, they both did the same
But
thing.
it's not.
They find out.
Because when he asked me, I told him I didn't have the numbers. And he told me, and then he called me back and he said, well, actually told me today, that was last week. And I think he called Roberta, and that's right, he called Roberta, and Roberta sent them to him, and I didn't get to call her. I didn't think it was right. I would have gave him the bid sheet without the totals. I didn't think that was fair, that he could underbid C. Harper like he did by $721 because he had their numbers.
That's not right.
So I did tell Chuck what his numbers were, and Chuck come back and said $1171, $400 cheap.
I think we should do this until March or April, and they'll be like 30,000 if they keep going back and forth.
Well, yeah, and on
We don't need to
C,
track back.
Okay, but let's,
on C. Harper's bid, it does say 2020, it is 21. And yeah, because if you caught that, if anyone catches that,
So Harper's is a 21.
they're both
They're
21s.
both 21.
They're both 21s, yes.
Well, since it wasn't a blind bid and they knew what they were doing, then why are we even considering Davies?
Well,
Is it the lowest?
in my opinion, with $400 difference, which isn't a real lot compared to what we provide, don't you think we ought to support a Charleroi business?
I have to agree with you, Paul. And believe me, that's because,
If it's anything like $1,000 or $2,000 or something, big difference, then I would say go with the lowest bidder. But for $400, I think we should support a Charleroi business.
I agree with that. That's why I was having mixed feelings about it. I mean, it does look like apples and apples here. Like I said, I wasn't paying attention to the whole meeting.
Can I make this suggestion then? So, if we're going, and tell me if this is something everyone agrees with, if we're going with the bid we had at the start of the meeting, I go along with Janine's suggestion to table till next week.
We're
I
going to
think,
table it anyway. We
Right.
don't need to buy this thing.
but I'm saying, I say we go with Janine's suggestion. We have the bids as is, and it gives us more time to make sure we're talking apples to apples.
Like I
And then
said,
we vote
I
next
think we are. I went through each item and tried to figure them out. I think I did. I marked things and then I find it, and then I mark it and then I find it. It looks like they're identical. The only thing I saw that Davies had was, it looks like a 240 amp alternator for an $85 difference, which is more. And I don't see that on C. Harper's bid. I don't see an 85 or anything on it. It was just, it's a bigger alternator, it's a heavier alternator. I don't know if we need it or not.
And believe me, because, Chuck and I are good friends, but I'm not gonna make this personal.
Well, I think that we need to make sure that they are involved in code
And don't forget, now, we
We
had,
had the free paint.
Well, but if they're,
3 years.
even, well, the co-stars, you don't have to be in co-stars to do the payments. Co-stars would be the purchase price. If they're willing to take the hit, that's on them.
okay, now, don't forget now, we had an original bid with all the confusion and phone calls that were made. They had the plow on it, they had the salt
Right.
pad thing on the back. That was $57,000 if you wanted to go that way and buy everything. But talking with the guys, they're not gonna use that plow for two years, probably, a year or two. That's why they wanted the hydraulic system on it, so they don't have to have that installed. That's the hardest thing to install. It's already there, it goes underneath and runs from front to back. I mean, we can go that route if you want the payment route and get the whole package, but I don't think because the plow we don't need right now.
No, I think we all agreed not to go to the higher one for now. Even the guys agreed with that one.
Like I said, I'm just letting you know that down the line, yes, they're gonna need a plow, they're gonna need this salt spreader thing, but what we did was we cut that much money off. We cut $17,000 off by not getting it right now. The only thing we will need is a light bar for the top, and I think I found a nice light bar.
I think we get into that.
That's what we were quoted.
I think we get into that, you're starting the whole thing from scratch. We have a bid. We have a bid.
Well, no, I want to explain it,
Right.
so I don't want nobody to say at the end of the year why I'm telling you to put in for next year's budget for a plow.
Right, and that's fine.
Why didn't we buy it this year? Well, we could have, but,
We need a finance proposal from them, how much.
well, it has to be the same. He said he can do the same because it's through Ford, is what Jim Davies told me.
Well, just tell them that we just.
We have to have it
exact numbers.
right.
We want the numbers.
Okay, so we're gonna put it on the agenda for next week, with both prices, both
Because we
bids.
don't even- I'm sorry, we don't even know the interest rate from Davies.
Well, he's telling me.
That's what I'm saying, we're gonna have all this.
We need that.
What if
This is
this,
the Ford thing.
hold on a second, let me make it simpler, we're not gonna go in circles. Real simple. We're gonna have it on the agenda next week with the complete packet. Both of them, we have the bids were received before the start of the meeting tonight. That's it, the bids are closed, okay?
Are we financing through Ford?
Yeah, well, that's, we're looking at the proposal. We have the,
Because our last truck, we went through Charleroi Center, our bank.
I think we were getting a better rate from Ford.
Ford, yeah, Ford is a 3.97, Paul. I mean, I don't know if you got that email to you or not.
Yeah, but I don't know our bank or what Charleroi Center will give us.
No bank's giving a rate that low. The average rate for a bank right now, and I just had this conversation with someone, you're looking between 6 and 8, plus through 9% at a bank.
Plus that discount goes back on, because we're not going to the CoStar.
Correct. So that can't be an option. So this is what I want to do.
Yeah, that's another thing, yeah, it is a CoStar bid.
So it's $10,000 that we got from that, Paul, will go right back on.
Okay, so this is what I do. Let's make it simple. It's going, the bids, as I started saying a moment ago, the bids closed when we opened the meeting. So that will be the bid price we'll have on there. We need to get the full proposal with the payment plan from Davies to be part of their bid package. Is there anything, they told us if they can give us in writing. We did have it verbally, but it should have been included in there. So Steve, it's okay for us to add that payment plan in as part of the bid. And we will have both. And we'll also check in the meantime, Jerry, you're stronger on this stuff than any of us here. And maybe you can sit down with TJ and make sure it's apples to apples. And we'll come in next week. We have everything in black and white. We can vote on next week. Okay?
And CoStar's number on Davies?
If they have the co-stars, but if they're willing to take the hit for the same price, Ed, that's on them.
Yeah.
That's on them.
I can't see how they can take a hit from the $10,500.
If they're willing to give that price without co-stars, that's all them.
I just think we just need the interest rate, we need to know
Right.
the payments amounts.
Because he said they didn't do CoStars, and he told me that's what he's been working on for a week is.
Longer than a week.
The CoStars,
He's been working that longer than a week.
maybe two.
Yeah. So, okay, that's what we're gonna do with that. Everyone okay? Okay. So the truck, okay, the emergency demo, we're not gonna do. So we are gonna vote on the emergency demo for 512 tonight, right?
Yes, my recommendation would be we do 512 Washington tonight.
Okay, so I'd like to make a motion to advertise for the emergency demo for 512 Washington Avenue.
So,
Second?
Second.
Any further discussion or questions on that? Okay, roll call?
Jody Chapman,
Yes.
Nancy Ellis. Yes. Jerry Jericho.
Yes.
Jenny Matiki,
Yes.
Paul Guarnick,
Yes,
Mark Bodarese.
Yes. And as I said, Roberta, you already have 725 down for next week's agenda, right?
Okay.
Yeah, add that for next week's agenda.
We got the emergency demo.
For 512.
512, we're gonna put 725 down in case he gets it, we're just gonna have it there. If he doesn't have it by then, we can just table it. But I want to at least have one.
We have the emergency demo for 512.
Okay.
Because Judge Emery wanted to have more of a hearing on that one because of the title issues. There was no apparent property owner.
With 725.
Yeah, 512.
The 725, it's owned by Shana Johnson.
Right.
And Bobby previously talked about the need for demo. I would just like to have her sign a waiver for some type of consent to demo. That way she wouldn't have a claim against us for demoing that.
So who should be reaching out to her to make sure she signs that before next
Either
month?
I or Bobby.
Pardon?
I know Bobby's had communication with her.
Okay.
So either one, if he's able to make contact, I can prepare the document. If you can't reach her, I'll try her.
Can you go ahead and prepare the document and tell Bobby when you have it ready and go from there?
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's just, it's silly for him to call her if you don't have the
I may
document.
even try to reach her after the meeting.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, you can communicate with Bob on that and move forward, and that way we'll vote on that next Wednesday. Okay, is there any other agenda items? Is there any other public discussion? Anyone whose residence is on there, if you have any public discussion, you can unmute yourself at this point. Okay, guess there's no one there for that. And so I'd rather, unless anyone has anything else they want to add?
I thought we were doing, the street department application.
Oh, well, that's executive session then.
Oh.
Yeah, that'll be executive session, so before going to executive session, I'll make sure. Okay, that being said, we're going to go ahead and go into executive session. Anyone, residents on there will be disconnecting you at this time. And we will not be voting on anything after, and we will adjourn the meeting as soon as the executive session is over. Again, this executive session is just pertaining to going over employment applications for a street department employee. So, that's it, thank you.